Alright, homies, here's the 2025 elk bow season recap, brought to you by Hunting with a Hammer. This is this year's bull. He's a 4x5, nice wide bull, not the herd bull but a satellite bull, good looking bull. Well, I didn't get any self-filming done this time, which is pretty normal for me even when I try, because everything happened so fast and time was of the essence that I didn't even have cameras or anything out when I ran into these elk. I was packing my camp up the ridge to where I was going to go hunting and ran right into a little band of elk. Cows started squirting off in every direction. Bull took off to the front with some cows. I bugled at him. All I had was my Maverick mouth game call and a cow call, and he bugled back and we bugled a little bit at each other, but he was obviously bailing with a group of the cows. But I did split the herd, and then I heard a bull bark and grunt above me, so I knew that there was another bull there that wasn't spooked and running off with the rest of them. So I knew where some wallows were that were actively being used, and so I dropped back down to where the wallows were, and I decided to do a little cow call, and maybe I could either get the herd bull to come back for what he thought would have been one of his cows, or maybe that satellite bull would come in. I made a mistake. I had a good shooting lane at the wallow, and I sat down to get comfortable because I was going to give it quite a bit of time with the cow calling. Well, I never shoot from sitting down position, and that arrow angle was something that I regretted, even at 10 yards. Anyway, I gave that bull a couple hours and nothing was happening, so I got up and I went to check out the wallow, and as soon as I started moving, I heard a grunt right above me, and he was right above me. And so I went back to where that tree was and I sat down. I waited on him and cow called, and then he came in pretty quick, raking the little hemlock in front of me with his antlers at about 10 yards. And then he started stepping out into the lane I was going to shoot. And then he figured out something was going on. He started turning. So I knew I had to shoot pretty quick. And so I put an arrow, what I thought would have been a quick quartering away shot at 10 yards. But that arrow angle was going up. I clipped a shoulder blade, and then that arrow went up through his neck and broke the fletching off. And it just sounded like a shotgun going off. Well, he took off and he went a long ways. At first he was leaving pretty good blood, and then he wasn't. So it was a long tracking job, and then a long time for me to finally find him. He ended up going at least a mile, but like I always told my kids, once you pull that trigger or once you let that arrow fly, you own it. And you know, somebody else may have been unethical, would have said, well, I couldn't find him, so he's gone and I'll just try hunting again. Well, that's unethical. I knew I'd hit him, and I tracked him a long ways and no elk, but I owed it to the animal and also to myself to not give up and find that bull. I did get him, and then time really became of the essence because it was pretty warm. So I ended up deboning quite a bit of the meat and hanging it in tree limbs and branches and anywhere to get some airflow to that meat. I decided to try to get the hind quarters out whole because time was of the essence. Looking back on it, I probably should have deboned them too. I did end up getting help for one quarter from an old ranger buddy of mine. We served together I was a Marine, he was a ranger, and thanks Chris for helping me out. But the rest of it I packed out myself, and it was about a 6 mile one way or 6 mile round trip pack. So I ended up putting like 16 miles on that day. I was wore out. I did lose some meat. I lost some around the hind quarter, you know, from bone sour. You know, once I got it home and we got everything deboned, me and the wife did the sniff test 3 different times. And I feel very fortunate to have gotten most of the meat salvaged. Like I said in the video there by the wallows, this is the only time I've ever had to salvage meat. So it's new to me. I did lose a cow, elk, once, and I just couldn't find her. And I finally found her 2 days later, and of course by then she was bad. I did notch my tag. You know, that's what I do as an ethical hunter. I put out every effort to get that animal, and if I get it and the animal's bad, like happened with that cow, I notch my tag. Done deal. With this bull, I feel very fortunate that I got him out just in the nick of time, it looks like. So it was a great hunt, minus a bad shot. But yeah, it happens. It doesn't happen to me, except just now. So rock on, my homies. Nice bull. And you know, we'll look forward to having another filming, except actually with video from the actual hunt this time. I'm going to try to get together a film for buck hunting coming up, so hopefully it works out better for me than this elk hunt. I'll get some good film. And I do this mainly as a record, historical record, for my grandkids, great-grandkids, great-great-grandkids down the line. You know, because as a young man, there was no filming, there was no cameras. I have very few pictures of when I was in the military. I have no videos. I have very few pictures of me hunting, and I have no videos. So that's why, mainly why I decided to start doing this now. I'm doing it for my grandkids, great-grandkids. Rock on, homies. Semper Fi.